and move into that house for $0 out of pocket.
So the big question is, what are top agents doing to absolutely crush it in real estate, grow their teams and add more transactions year over year while so many struggle? To get the answers, we interview the top real estate agents to learn their secrets to success. My name is Andrew Dunn.
And my name is Peter Michael. Welcome to Lead Agent Secrets.
I think that is the perfect transition into your third and final topic, which is turning renters into buyers. So unpack why that is your third secret for our listeners and how to do it. Most importantly, our listeners like, how the fuck do I do it? So Stephanie, unpack how you do it.
So the magical calculation here in California is move from the Bay Area to a less populated outlying area and work remotely from your new house in a much less expensive area than the Bay Area.
Alaska. Move to Alaska.
Yeah, I mean, so really we did for the pandemic, that's really what drove a lot of our market is San Francisco Bay Area selling, moving to outlying areas. And that's, so this equation is changing a little bit as interest rates go up. Definitely, and as prices continue to go up, but they're definitely stabilizing. So the theory is that, especially with these zero interest rates that we had previously. So, if your rent is $3,000 and you can go buy a house for $2,200, then, and this was true, let's say, last August, last July, last summer, a year ago, just one little year ago when rates were still in the 2s and 3s, somebody who in my area was paying $2,500 for rent could go instead of paying your first last deposit, all of those move-in costs to get into your rental, you can actually put $1,000 down for your earnest money deposit and get down payment assistance and move into that house for $0 out of pocket, except for, you might even, a year ago, we even had people getting their deposits back at the close of escrow. 2 years ago, a typical market, these down payment assistance programs offer you the ability to walk in with a very minimal deposit. And oftentimes, if the seller is willing to credit a certain amount and your down payment assistance is 6% and you're getting your down payment covered plus 3% towards your closing costs, plus, the seller may be contributing 2 or 3%, you're actually getting your whole entire deposit back at the close of escrow. And not only that, you skip a mortgage payment, right? So you sign in February and your mortgage payment isn't due until April. So not only are you skipping all the deposits, first, last, everything, you're actually skipping a payment for a couple of months.
Stephanie, do you find that having that type of setup is sometimes makes you look not as competitive in the seller's eyes? Like, is there any disadvantage to the buyers to have the down payment assistance program or have any other grants or first-time home buyer programs that when they're putting in the offer may not be looked as favorably?
I think that definitely depends on your market. I mean, for sure, things have changed from a year ago when we were doing a lot more down payment assistance. But I still have a few buyers out today looking in the outskirts, the more rural areas where there is less competition and just frankly, because less people want to live in some of these, rural towns, so it definitely isn't as competitive as an all cash offer with no time periods and no inspection periods, for sure. This is a down payment assistance loan is inherently more complicated, more documentation, more, inspections. The lender is going out on a much greater limb. So the collateral becomes more and more important. So it's definitely not the most competitive, out there. But, you could still, let's say that you are a renter and you've saved up a down payment and you don't have to go with down payment assistance. The principle is the same, that oftentimes, depending on interest rates and market prices and everything, you can actually own a home for less than renting. And I think, as things stabilize, we'll see that happening more and more. Right now in California, the way that you can do that is to move to Georgia. And I can do loans in 40 other states outside of California if it's an investment purpose loan. So a lot of people are, because you can work remotely, they're going to work in Kansas now. I had a couple of guys at my investor meeting last week who are doing tons and tons of investor flips, and they're landlords now also. They're not flipping everything. They're keeping some of it in Kansas. And, there are places where you can still get a house for under $100,000.
It's interesting because there's definitely an exodus. I mean, because the work remotely thing, you've hit the nail on the head, and that's not going anywhere now. Like, that's part of the world. Like, it's just part of it. It's these companies, there's just no way they're going to go, everyone has to come back to the offices. There's just 0% chance. Some companies will be like, there's office. Some people will have to, but a lot of the people, it's like, we've now figured this out. You can now do this. And like, we saw a lot of people moving. Well, we obviously sell in Florida. Florida's huge. Like, the amount of people flocking to where we sell is just enormous from every state. And then people we know, friends, Tennessee, Arizona, like the two biggest ones. Massive amount of people I know have gone to those two states, which I just think is so interesting. So interesting that everyone has now realized that, like, price. Texas is obviously a huge one. In fact, the biggest is probably Texas, but it's just people have realized they can have a great quality of life at a fraction of the cost.
Definitely. And I think Texas, it was kind of like the first one where people were moving to,
sure.
And then maybe now it's kind of spread out from there. But I definitely noticed that it's from California, it just spread all the way out. First Oregon, then Washington, Nevada, all of the outlying areas. And so, for example, my son joined the Air Force 5 years ago, and he went up and was stationed in Spokane, Washington. And when he first got there, I was seeing a lot of houses like on the bottom of the market, a bunch of flips for $30,000 and $40,000. And as I go up and visit him and watch the market, I've been watching these prices just as each one of these properties has been flipped 5 times by now. And now they're all selling for, $400,000 or $500,000.
I was going to say, can I have these 40,000? Where are they?
No, they're gone.
I bet at this point, everyone listening will be like, where are these $40,000?
Yeah, no, they're gone. I just watched it all happen as I traveled and everything, and I watched the Facebook groups, and all of the people in Spokane are complaining about the people from Seattle coming up to Spokane, but mostly it's not even Seattle; it's all those terrible Californians, and apparently we're ruining everything. So,
No, that's not true. But what I want to do, Stephani, is I want to give you the floor because it's been a great chat. So, how can people reach out? Tell people what you got going on. I know you got some stuff going on. You're helping some agents crush out some crazy stuff. And then how people can get in touch, whether that's phone, email, website, social media. Let the people know what you got going on and where they can find you.
All right. Well, we do have a lot going on. We are moving into the Bay Area more and more. So we'll look for you in the San Francisco Bay Area. We have some good tools on our website at www.firsttimebuyerhandbook.com. You can send your buyers there for a handy little graphic. It tells you everything you need to know about buying a house for the first time, and it's got a formula that you can use to figure out how much you can afford. You just really need to, put your bills down realistically, tell yourself what they are, and then you can run this handy little calculation, which will tell you how much of a house you can afford and what you could expect your payment to be based on your purchase price. My website is also www.stephaniboy.com. And if anybody wants to call me, I always answer the phone at 916-215-9811.
Love it. And before we wrap up here, we've got 3 quick fire questions for you, straight off the top of your head. Here we go. First one, what's your favorite book or person you're learning from at the moment?
I'm going to give a big shout out to my favorite person I'm learning from at the moment is Mark Lytle with Show Up Sacramento. So Mark Lytle is a 20-year Army Air Force veteran, and he has a mobile shower trailer for our unhoused neighbors. And he gets up every day and just shows up for his community. And so I work a lot with his organization to facilitate donations and try to help his program out as much as I can. And I like to call him my short duration personal savior. And so, check out Show Up SAC, because it's a real example of what just one guy can do in his community to make a huge difference in the lives of thousands of people that he serves every year, just out of the goodness of his heart. He doesn't get anything out of it. So.
Absolutely love that. Your second question is, what's your goal in the next 12 months?
12-month goal is to definitely increase our output in the San Francisco Bay Area and make a few more partners out there. We got some exciting expansion going on. And so, looking to do a little more recruiting out that way. And
you're going to throw a number out there? Do you want to put the nail on it and say, I want to hit this number in the next 12 months?
Oh man, I don't like making those types of
ultimate accountability right here, right now.
Yeah. Let's just say 10% growth would be a nice number.
What number is that then at 10%?
Let's just leave it at 10%.
The ambiguity. And then your final question is, what's the biggest obstacle that you think is going to stop you hitting your 10% growth?
It's these interest rates, man. Hopefully they'll slow down a little bit. But it's definitely, a lot of people are shy about the interest rates. And unfortunately, it's so much that's just outside of our control. You could get up every day at 5 a.m. like I do and hustle and grind and everything. But if you're exclusively working with buyers, you're going to all have problems. So, diversify, pivot, smash from all different angles is really the goal.
The goal and how you're going to conquer it. Stephani,
yes.
Thank you for coming on the show. Everyone, we hope you've enjoyed listening to this episode, and we will see you in the next one. Oh, and by the way, if you're interested in gaining access to our course and coaching programs 100% for free, then head over to go.eliteagentsecrets.com.